Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivanme.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of superhero television or film. And this week on the podcast, we are talking about the Book of Boba Fett.
Now, it's called the Book of Boba Fett, but it's a show. I don't...
So no one panic.
Guys, we're not reviewing books. I don't want to mislead anybody.
I appreciate you right away
Clarify.
getting that out of the way, being like, no one panic, no one like scream or run around or call the authorities.
Nobody tear out your own eyes. We're reviewing a TV show.
Their eyes.
Called their eyes. They want to still listen to the show.
Right. Okay. So,
they're
what would removing your eyes benefit in this scenario?
Nobody.
Okay.
It's just what you do when you panic.
Wow.
Yeah. My eyes are... I'm on my 8th pair of eyes.
I really have got to make sure that you stop panicking in the future.
Nah, I mean, they can just put new eyes in. We're fine. So we're doing Disney Plus's The Book of Boba Fett
Book of
today,
Boba Fett.
the TV show.
The TV show. All of season 1. The TV show, not the book. Spoiler, doesn't even have a book in it.
That was literally my only spoiler I was also going to put in the spoiler-free review. Not a lick of a book.
Not even one book. They don't
Not even the end of Game of Thrones when they put the Game of Thrones in the book.
And they're like, and that was
The
Game of Thrones.
This was truly the Book of Boba Fett,
No.
the TV show.
No,
it was,
does not happen.
No book whatsoever. Don't know what they're thinking.
Don't know what they're wasting time here with the.
Is there an actual book called The Book of Boba Fett that we have adapted in this scenario?
I don't know. I got to figure it out. We got to know. The show could have been called Boba Fett. I tell you that right now. I tell you that for free, right off the top. So we're covering season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett. There are going to be spoilers, so we're going to have a spoiler-heavy episode. We're going to talk about everything that went down. We're going to give you a quick spoiler-free review as well. So if you haven't seen it, if you're not sure if it's worth your time, if you just want a taste of the episode, we're going to give you a spoiler-free review since this is a new property. Then once you hear the theme song, after that is the spoiler-filled section. And then just so you know what's coming up next week on the podcast, we are going to be talking about Peacemaker.
Yeah.
On the podcast next week.
Back-to-back new TV shows for us. That's going to be fun.
Yes. And as well, later this week, this coming weekend, over on our Patreon page, we will have our episode up on the Legend of Vox Machina.
Yeah, we just wanted to let you guys know the episode's a little late this month because we're going to do the whole season, but the season doesn't end until the 18th, so it kind of pushed the episode on the Patreon back. So if you're wondering where that Patreon episode is,
you will have it.
It's coming.
This weekend, we will have our Patreon up on the whole first season of The Legend of Vox Machina. So for our patrons, that will be coming out this weekend. And if you're not a patron, go over to patreon.com/FromSuperheroes. Check it out. Maybe join up, and you can hear the exclusive episode this weekend.
That's a little bit of business off the top.
Little bit of business about what's coming up. But spoiler-free review. Let's start with that for the Book of Boba Fett. Did you like it?
I did really like it. It's very, very good. It's the only thing you can compare it to really is The Mandalorian as the only other Star Wars show. It's not as good as The Mandalorian, but it is very good. I would say the most I can say about it is I really enjoyed every individual episode. I wasn't as excited to watch it every week as I was The Mandalorian. Like, I was never like cliffhanger, like, how are they gonna get out of this one, Boba Fett? It's not like the most like you have to watch it every week kind of show, but every episode is compelling. The action's very good. The acting's very good. You're getting like more backstory than I expected, but that's fine. That's the Book of Boba Fett. You know, you get the prologue, you get the epilogue. It's all in the book. Goes on a weird tangent for a while, a good weird tangent, but a long tangent that I don't know how to feel about and can't say in the spoiler-free section. So I think it's quite good to very good, and I enjoyed it. That was my book review of the Book of Boba Fett. Andrew, how did you feel in your spoiler-free review of the Book of Boba Fett?
I really liked it. I think similar to you, I really enjoy it. I think it's not quite as sharp as The Mandalorian is, but then there are some areas where like I absolutely adore it, and I think it might even be sharper. But like for the most part, very good. Very good is my general atmosphere. And something you tweeted that I think is kind of fun and remarkable about the show is the fact that it's a show where the two cool, sexy action leads are over 60, and like. That's just really cool and nice. That's a thing that I very much enjoy.
Yeah, I as I get older, I enjoy a show not about teens or people in their early 20s. I'm like, I don't got to feel weird about thinking Ming Na is hot as hell.
Yes.
This is great.
Yes. And I know that Ming Na is essentially timeless, but I'm like, you're fantastic. But it's a fun, diverse in every possible way with older lead actors. Just something you don't really see a lot and is... I think like it's rude and demeaning to say like they took a chance on something like that, but it's something that is
they did.
It's something that major networks and streaming services are typically adverse to a show that has two lead actors in their 60s
and two people of color.
And exactly. So I think it's a great show for that, but it's also just entertaining all around. And I agree, it takes some tangents. It's not cohesive.
It's not cohesive.
It's not cohesive enough that it has one good long story, but it's also not tangential enough that it's an anthology series. Mm-hmm. So it's not quite in one world or the other, which I think does kind of hurt it. But that's my major criticism of it, where it's just like, okay, you could do whatever stories you fucking want and make it an anthology of some random fun stories, and that's a fine way to do it. Or this could be the look how Boba got here, but like they didn't quite do either, and that's a slight problem.
Yeah, there is a slight problem, but it is definitely like the same high quality of Mandalorian. Like you feel like you're watching a very expensive, very well done like piece of film that is a show. Mm-hmm. It's very good. It is worth watching if that is one of the questions we are about to ask.
Yeah, very well made. Very well made. And can it be spoiled?
It can. Mm-hmm. There are spoilers that I am skirting around like crazy right now that I want to get into.
Yeah, there are spoilers, medium to large, as any story that is canonized within the Star Wars universe. There is going to be, touches, effects, and things that kind of brush around that are important to the universe overall. So yeah, I think it can be spoiled.
It can be spoiled. Tatooine's a busy place, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Lots going on.
Lots of shit. For an Outer Rim planet with just a shitty spaceport, lots of stuff going on. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think that's our quick spoiler-free review. But now let's get into the full spoiler-filled section. So with spoilers, we're going to talk about the Book of Boba Fett.
It's a show.
All right, so we have seen the Book of Boba Fett. We've seen all of it, and we enjoyed it for the most part.
I did really enjoy it for the most part. Like you said, it's not cohesive. I would say the problems are it's telling two good stories, and they're not balanced in any way. Like the first 3 episodes, there's so much flashback that nothing is gaining traction in the present day. And then when it comes to present day, when the flashbacks are over, it's kind of just like, this hasn't been built up enough, and I don't believe this world we're living in. But it's also like everyone's really good, and the world building's great, and
performances are phenomenal.
The flashback story is incredibly compelling.
I think the flashback story is better than the war for territory within Gangland.
It absolutely is.
Yeah, within Mos Espa. I agree with you. So like this first 3-4 episodes that they're doing the play of like anytime Boba is in the Bacta tank is when we're getting a flashback to him surviving in the desert, being captive and then raised / adopted by Tuscans. Mm-hmm. I think that is the best story of a lost man with no land finding a new home and a people, and a man who had never had a true family. Like, he is a clone. He's never had siblings. He saw his father murdered. He never had extended family. No one took care of him. Like, this is a man who has been alone his entire life.
Yeah, he has Mandalorian armor, but he's never met or been involved with the Mandalorian culture. He's not part of that. He is like a clone who was just abandoned to the world to be on his own for all we know for those 20 years in between episode 2 and this.
So I think it's like a really interesting and beautiful story to use Boba Fett for, and also a character who is so famous for his armor, to tell a story stripped down from that. And obviously we know from The Mandalorian that he doesn't have it when we first find him and so on. But I still think it's important that we as an audience go on that journey to be like, it's the character with a jetpack. And it's like, okay, but what if he doesn't, and we really make you get to know this guy? And I would have liked to have seen it in a linear fashion. I know on this podcast, rarely are we a fan of non-linear storytelling. Once in a while it works, but I think it does distract, and it just kind of comes off as like a lack of confidence on Disney's part to be like, please don't get bored, it is the guy with the jetpack. And I'm like, I wasn't bored. I was actually really enjoying the quiet storytelling of a man being raised by Tuscans, but okay, let's switch to a jetpack scene.
Yeah, I mean, I actually love what you said about stripping him down, because I'm not super like, you need to have a jetpack and armor, because I've already seen 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, another character who has a jetpack and armor. Mm-hmm. So the fact that Boba like doesn't wear his helmet all that often and hardly ever jetpacks around, I'm like, good, you're a different character. You're Boba Fett. You're not The Mandalorian. I really liked meeting him and growing with him and seeing why he's changed and how he's gaining, people who follow him and trust him, and why all this is building around him. So this was really important. And then like the armor is just kind of like not a big deal, which I think is great, because armor is such a big deal to Mando that I really like that it's not a big deal to Boba Fett. He's like, it keeps me alive, but other than that, I have no attachment to this armor. I like living.
Yeah.
And that is the only thing I need this for. Whereas Mando, it's like a religion. So I think that's really great. And like I would say the only thing I find weird that really felt like what they were going for is, I get that at the end, Boba is getting like revenge for the Tuscans when he kills like the people who killed the Tuscans. I did find it odd that he didn't bring them into the final fight to like fight for their own land and their own planet. Like maybe
100%.
only half the tribe gets killed and the other half are like, we're just gonna go. We're done here. Because he worked so hard and to like help those people keep their land against that train. It made it kind of tragic, but it's also like those people deserve their homeland back.
I agree. And I think the implication is like they're all gone, but also like they even had another line that like there's other tribes. Like the tribe that knows Boba
is gone.
Like anyone who's met Boba and is a Tuscan is dead. But there are other groups, tribes, communities, whatever terminology they use in lore, of Tuscan Raiders out there. And he should reach out to them, maybe?
Yeah, like he can he knows how to speak their language. He has one of their sticks. He knows how to fight like them. He could very quickly be like, I was part of your tribe that was killed, and I'd like to help you defend your land. Or I'd like you to help me get some of your land back from the spice dealers who keep killing you.
Yes.
Yeah, really, really weird flex on that part.
Yeah, a weird flex, and it should have been something that they brought into the fold as time passed, and it would have been better linear, because we are learning a lot in these flashbacks that I feel like don't necessarily pair perfectly with the episode or the A storyline that's going on in present day. So I think the way to do this storytelling, and the way that a lot of things attempt, I was also just recently watching Jack Reacher on Amazon Prime, which does the exact same thing, where they're just like, and what if we flash back to a thing that parallels this scene? And to mixed success on that show. That's a whole different thing. But a lot of things will try to do this, where it's like
Arrow
very
is
big
on a flashback
classic,
that parallels whatever's happening in the present.
Absolutely. It'll parallel the storyline. But these are not micro stories that parallel the current micro story. On a show like Arrow, and again, mixed success, but it would be like, can Oliver learn to work with a teammate? Flashback to the time that he learned to work with a teammate. Now he needs to incorporate that remember it and incorporate it in present day. And that's kind of how they're going back and forth. But the past is this big overarching character journey. So then like it cuts to the present and he's like, can I punch a Wookiee? And then like it cuts to the past and he's like, I don't know, can you ever truly learn to be a part of a people? And I'm like, what? Well, these don't parallel though.
They're good individual stories, but they don't go together. It's like if you're serving a meal and you're like, would you like some ice cream with your steak? And I'm like, I like both of those things.
But you got to think about the pairing.
Yeah. Not on the same plate, sir. Different plates.
Different plates, please.
Different plates, please. That's all I ask.
But I do like this whole flashback story. I like the thing with the Tuscans. I think Temu is also a phenomenal performer and actor, and does a lot with silence and a lot with like minimal dialogue. And I think it really pops and really works. Like when you were bringing up kind of comparing this and his character to the Mandalorian, and like he's stripped down and he kind of works. And I think part of it is just practical and financial, is that they can afford to have him on set all day, whereas Pedro was on set for the Mandalorian for like 3 fucking days.
Whatever days he took his helmet off. The rest of the time he's literally phoning it in.
Yeah,
and he's great. He doesn't need to be there, but
he does a phenomenal voice performance, and kudos to the physical actor, who I don't know the name of, who is on set in that body armor, because he has a certain gait and a walk that really gives Mando life. But Temu's a phenomenal performer and does a really good job of like this character stripped down from all of his cool things. What if a character who literally is only popular because an action figure had a rocket that was a choking hazard had nothing, had absolutely nothing, and we made him cool from the ground up? And the writing succeeds in that, but Temu really fucking succeeds in that.
He does. I'm only laughing because of the choking hazard thing, because the very first monster he kills out his armor, he chokes to death. The 6-legged creature with his chain.
That's funny. That's funny.
It's all a choking hazard with Boba Fett. You got to watch yourself.
That's very funny.
He'll choke you out.
Okay.
But yeah, his performance is wonderful. And like, he has to do it all. You can't see the Tuscan Raiders' faces. Like, they can, they're giving a good physical performance. As well, like much the way Mando's physical actor has to, because you can't see his face. But you can't see their faces, you can't understand what they're saying. So Temuera has to do so much. He's telling this entire story, even though there's a dozen people around him.
Right.
And he's doing an incredible job. I also will say this is like the only time I've enjoyed a like I'm joining a tribe story, because a stranger joining an indigenous tribe is so much more relaxing to watch when the actor is indigenous. It's like, oh, thank God. No white savior. Oh, my goodness.
And the in-canon indigenous tribe is made up as well. So
yeah,
we're doing white savior, but an indigenous person with an indigenous tribe. It oddly isn't problematic, or at least as far as I can tell. My apologies to anyone who did find issue with it, but it was a tasteful savior story,
it was like the only time I've been like, oh, this feels okay to watch. This feels good. This is how you have to do it. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for telling this story this way, and only with this kind of actor.
It felt like a non-preachy but sincere exchanging of ideals between cultures.
Yes. I need you. You don't need me, but I want to help you. And I like you genuinely like need a strategic hand at this.
Yeah, it didn't reek of colonialism. Like, it didn't reek to be like, I'm going to show you our cool technology, you savages. It felt like, oh fuck, you guys actually got things on lock pretty good. Here's a heads up of like,
here's one area you're lacking.
Let me show you how bikes work. I love riding, but like whatever. Like
the gif of him on the
it's bike. Fucking killer. It's killer. I love his enthusiasm for bikes. It's a great enthusiasm.
We learned so many new things about Boba Fett. No one ever talks about Boba Fett's love of bikes.
He loves them.
Pre this show.
Dies for them.
And books.
No books. And his autobiography.
Early, what would I change? Get a book in here.
Gotta get a book in there.
Somebody write this down. Even at the end, if he was like, write that down.
But so can you jot that down real quick? To the robot guy played by Matt Berry. What is it? RD88.
Some kind of number.
88. 8D8. 88. Sounds like 88. But yeah, write that down. 88. Phenomenal performance from Temuera. Wonderful job. Perfect casting. A phenomenal actor, and it's just so great to have that going into the show, to be like, oh wow, we have the guy, and the guy is great.
It's lucky that he was a good actor, because like George Lucas didn't hire him for episode 2 because he was.
Yes.
Like the prequels were not acting based jobs. They were like, do you look like your character? We're gonna CG everything around you.
Yeah.
So definitely this could have not worked out well.
It easily
using the guy who'd already been cast as Boba Fett or Jango Fett or whatever.
Yeah. I will say, as much as I don't necessarily love the time leap, love the Tuscan Raider story as we discussed, I do like the present day stuff for the most part. I think that the relationship that they've developed between him and Fennec is phenomenal. Those two and like the present day stuff, it is more of a buddy action comedy. And that's not the tone of the flashback, but the buddy action comedy works. These two have phenomenal chemistry and are really fun to watch.
They have really good chemistry. They really laid out a great story of why these two badasses will work together and trust each other, because she owes him a life debt, but he also isn't making her pay off a life debt. She's just like, I owe you. This sounds kind of cool. Let's see what this is all about. And yeah, they're very cool together. Sometimes Fennec steals the show a little bit because she's cooler than Boba. I'm not going to lie. She seems to be like a way better fighter and better at assassinating and things. He's even like, he's getting his ass kicked and he's like, Fennec, go get them. Oh boy. Oh, they're pretty fast. I got to get in that back to tank. And that's not like, doesn't seem to be what they're going for. Like, that's not the comedy angle that they're going for. It just kind of naturally happens because fucking Ming-Na is so cool.
Well, and I think it's also due to the fact that, like, obviously, like, he is in fantastic shape and is a good performer, and they have a wonderful stunt team for him. And with the helmet, have a built-in way of hiding who the stunt person is. But even though he's only 2 years older than Ming-Na, it does very much feel like I'm too old for this. Go get him, Fennec. And it's like, Fennec's your age. But Fennec is like spry and young.
Yeah, some Lethal Weapon, like, oh, Riggs, go, you young buck, go get him.
I can't do it
I'm 2 days from retirement, man.
And granted, Fennec's got some robot parts at this point, so that does put a little
some robot parts.
That puts a little pep in your step. That de-ages the process a certain degree.
But yeah, no, they're great together. And like, they do have like this like calm trust, but you can tell that they're both always have their head on a swivel, that they're like looking and calculating and strategizing all the time. They're silently communicating when they look at each other. They have good verbal communication, which I like. I don't like when people just like look at each other all the time and never have to say it. I like when they're like, go hire more men. Oh, okay, that's what you meant. All right, I gotta go hire more men.
Clear and effective communication.
That's what makes a good leader.
Yeah.
That's why people will work for you.
I like that she challenges his authority, but not in a combative way. But also sometimes it's just like, that's a shitty idea, but I don't have a better idea to offer. So ride or die, let's do it. It really does feel like a relationship between two people who inherently trust one another and know that they are both incredibly powerful, but also flawed on a human level, where it's like, yeah, Boba Fett could fuck up a bunch of people in a fight, and he's pretty smart, but occasionally trusts the wrong dude.
But he's also never led a gang before. Like, yeah, I like what you said about she challenges him, but she's not a dick about it. So many characters who like challenge their bosses just like have nothing else to offer.
Right.
But they feel like they're
the
brainstorming.
Starscream mentality.
Yeah. I should be the leader. Megatron, I'll kill you. You got to get rid of that guy.
You got it. Step one, if you're running a Boba Fett type gang, you kill the Starscream. Get Starscream out of there.
And he did. He's got no Starscreams on the team. Not a Starscream in sight. But they feel like they're brainstorming. Not that like he's having his leadership question. She's like, neither of us have led a gang before. Let's talk this out.
Let's feel the vibes here.
Well, maybe we make a deal with the spice traders? No, we don't like spice. Okay, maybe we make a deal with another gang? Who can we trust? Yeah. What about these people on bikes that are modded? I'm modded. Let's go talk to them.
Let's get the bike people.
Let's get the bike people. You like bikes? Or wait, you hate bikes? Bikers killed your family. I don't know how you feel about bikes, man.
Oh, you're neutral on bikes.
Oh, you really?
You hate the people who murdered your family who rode bikes, but you do not hold the object accountable. Okay, all right, that's fun.
The bikes did nothing wrong.
That's fun and fine. Yeah. I liked the biker gang. I'm just gonna say it. I like the biker gang. I saw a lot of people online being like, a lot of people online fucking hated the biker gang. I think a lot of people hated how modern it was, because it doesn't necessarily feel like it belongs in the Star Wars universe.
They didn't have any dirt on them.
At least not in this Star Wars timeline. Like maybe prequels, but
they're a little prequel shiny.
But I'm okay with every now and then someone showing up who has bright colors. Like we can let a color in or two.
I'm okay with some people having like pride of ownership. Like, you know, Luke Skywalker's speeder was beat to shit, but these guys are like, we love our bikes. We wax them. We shine them up. You can have a little bit of color. It's fine. So yeah, I kind of liked the gang. I liked the idea of the gang. I had no problem with the colors. I have no problem with a modded gang looking a little bit modern. The thing I didn't like about the gang is that they kind of sucked at everything. They were not good. They did a speed chase at one point. I don't think they even caught the guy. And it's like a city clerk. in a regular car and they can't catch him. They have tiny little guns. They never shoot anyone. They can't. There's like 8 of them against that Wookiee guy, and they can't take him down. I was just unimpressed with anything they achieved. But I didn't mind them as people.
They are kids.
Well, then they shouldn't be in a war. Boba, if they're kids, they shouldn't be here. If they're adults, they're bad at their jobs.
This area of town is shitty. All right. I kind of like it because it felt like video game or like card game-esque, where it's like, yeah, not every card you play is a 10th power level.
Some people are pawns.
Exactly. You just can't have a team of all fucking brick shit houses. You know, sometimes you need 20 Dickensian children on space motorcycles to equal almost one Wookiee. Or like
sometimes you need some fodder.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes you need 2 frog boys to help, keep the riff right. So it's like, I like that also, like, yeah, they added more people where it's like, we've got 1 Wookiee, which equals 2 frog boys, which equals 20 motorcycle teats. They're about equal.
They are about equal.
But you do need to do some multiplication to get the power scale right.
It's ridiculous that they're equal, but you're absolutely right. Because even in the final episode, they're like, we've got all of our teams in 3 locations. One's just 1 Wookiee. One is just 2 green dudes. One is 18 speeder kids. Yeah. These are the same amount of power.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, but it's true.
Yeah.
Especially because the green guys die and the Wookiee lives.
Yeah. I guess you needed a third frogman or whatever. Guy. Yeah, so Boba's math was a little off.
I mean, there's only so many green guys. Yes. He didn't have a third green guy.
Yeah. And 1 Rancor equals all of them. So that's the ultimate. That's the Megazord.
That's the Blue Eyes Green Dragon.
Yes, there you go.
White Dragon. I'm so sorry, White Dragon.
There we go.
It's a Blue Eyes Dragon.
But yeah, there's a power level to it. I'm okay with some like teens who are the young members of the gang who don't quite have their shit together yet. And like I think for the most part, they've just been vagrants. Like, they're not ass kickers. Like, to the point where, like,
pretending they are, but I guess it's how you survive on the street.
And that's also what punk teens do, where they're like, we're fucking badasses and we're cool. And when Boba's like, what's going on? They're like, we can't afford water. The guy who owns the water's charging too much. And then what is his name? Steven, I forget the actor's name, who plays not the mayor, but he plays like the guy who owns the water. Comedic actor. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Stephen Merchant? No.
But either way.
Oh, he's so far down the IMDb.
So he comes out, and it's like, it's a middle-aged, overweight man who's just like, I charge a lot for water. And it's like 20 teens with a gun, and they're like, we don't know what to do.
Do we shoot him with our gun?
So they're not ready to gang yet,
Fair enough.
They fight amongst themselves. They've maybe had a few scraps. They're not an organized unit, I don't think.
That's fair, because my favorite moment of the gang is their climactic moment in the finale is they've seen Fennec shoot people from above, and they learned that it's better to shoot from above. Mm-hmm. That was their big arc of the season. They're like, oh shit, if you get high above, it's easier to shoot people.
Shoot from above.
That was the plan.
And then that'll just be it.
So that was fun for me, for the gang. Yeah, I didn't mind them as people, didn't mind their bikes. Bikes were cool. I think that's great. Despite how much fun we have and how I think you made a good point, I still think they should have been good at least one thing.
I feel you.
They should have been able to catch the city clerk in the car.
I'm cool with that, yeah.
They should have gotten him, no problem.
I couldn't agree more.
The fighting, maybe.
You got to learn that, but you should at least be good at riding a bike and chasing a thing.
If your whole thing is we own bikes.
Yes, you're the bike people.
You should be good at bikes.
You should be good at bikes. I agree. Stephen Root, by the way, was the name of the actor I was looking for. But yes, should be good at riding bikes. And as well, I was also just like, oh, it's Sophie Thatcher from Yellow Jackets, which is a show that I've been really enjoying lately.
Same hair, a different color.
Yeah. Vibing it. So I'm okay with big year for her. I'm okay with Bike Gang. I saw a lot of people online hating the Bike Gang. I do just kind of want to like say generally, this was one that I found like the online discourse really frustrating for, because I feel like nothing was super negative, which is kind of a blessing because because
it's Star Wars.
It's Star Wars, and Star Wars, like many fandoms, can be toxic, shitty, and full of insane lunatics. But this was one that was just mildly frustrating when I would see the online discourse, because I feel like as the season started, there was a lot of people who were just like hating on it to be like, it's just Mandalorian again. Then the second it got not like Mandalorian and bikes showed up, everyone was just like, well, this isn't the same. And then when Mandalorian showed up, people were like, well, I hate it. It's exactly the same. And I'm like, what do you want?
What do you want?
What do you want? You don't like it for being too similar, but you don't like it for being too different. And you don't like it when it's exactly the same fucking show that you liked. So what do you want? So there's no pleasing everyone or anyone in this scenario, it seems.
It is really frustrating, and I agree. You do just kind of you don't want to engage, but you also want to be like, what do you want? Because there are kind of 3 different shows happening here, and that's maybe a flaw of the show. But at the same time, all those shows are pretty good.
Yeah.
So stop complaining. They might not cohese very well, but they're all separately good.
Yeah.
The flashbacks are good. The modern day is good. Mando 2.5 is good. Mando 2.5 is great. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, come on, people. And also, a thing that I didn't realize that other people pointed out, I saw on Twitter, the bike gang, all their bikes are the American graffiti colors of the cars.
Oh, fun.
So this is a fun little Easter egg.
Yeah, fun little nod.
They're bright, and they look like the American graffiti cars, and that's why there's a gang. It's a callback, you guys, to a George Lucas property.
Right.
So now you probably love it. You're probably like, oh, wait a minute, it was an Easter egg? What if I made an Easter egg? Would that make you like it, Star Wars nerds?
You little fox.
I don't know why I was so aggressive.
I don't know
on
why
that
either.
one.
I don't know why.
I'm a Star Wars nerd, and so are you.
Yeah.
But that's all. Sometimes you need to do that. So I'm going to let you guys know.
Huh. Yeah, sometimes you need to, lay down the law?
Lay down that it's an Easter egg, and then you like it.
Yeah.
It genuinely helps.
It does, unfortunately, for some people who are too grumpy. But I feel like it's a similar discourse that was like around The Force Awakens and then The Last Skywalker, where Force Awakens came out, some people were like, it's just the same movie as A New Hope. And then when Rise of Skywalker came out, the same people were like, well, this is totally different. I want the same movie again. It's like, well, which do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And you can dislike one and not the other, but like you've got to at least like pick a camp, pick a side.
What brings you joy?
What brings you joy?
Please figure out what brings you joy.
And
Don't be hating.
And I'm okay with some more just like quiet Western, having a good time. I enjoy Mando. I enjoy the show. I enjoy the biker gang. I enjoy the color. I enjoy when it's similar. I enjoy when it's different. I'm just on board for this ride for the most part.
But you're absolutely right. The discourse was very medium on this show. Like in terms of negativity and just in terms of press, like not nearly as much like tweets and posts and like even hype around this show as Mando. Yeah. But also you're right. The hate was never as high, and the love was never as high. It's all very middling online as far as I could see.
Yeah, and maybe it does try to be a few too many things, which you try to please everyone, you end up pleasing no one, but you really theoretically should have pleased fucking some people, and I guess you pleased us.
We liked it pretty good
with this show. So we've got like the gang war thing going on. We've got the flashback to the Tuscan thing. Then it reaches a point where the show is just like, there's no more flashback. It's a singular timeline, and we're going to do just a couple episodes of Mandalorian.
Just Mandalorian season 2.5 happens in the middle of the Book of Boba Fett. And
okay,
I'm torn on this because apologies to Boba because it's your show. The Mando episodes are the best episodes by far. They're so good. But I don't understand why they're here because Mando has his own show. Yeah. It's so confusing to me. Like if there was 3 episodes about Cobb, Timothy Olyphant's character, I'd be like, well, that guy doesn't have his own show.
Yeah,
this would be the only place we could see him and check in on him.
And also, that guy lives on the planet that this is happening on.
On Tatooine. Yeah. It would make sense. But to have 2.5 episodes completely devoted to Mando when he's got a season 3 coming out felt rude.
I would even say that the Grogu episode, which was a Grogu episode, like I'm saying, there is
Mando only had like 2 scenes.
A Mando episode, like the I'm getting a spaceship and training with the Darksaber, and then I'm cast out by my people. That's a Mando episode. But then we get the Grogu Luke Skywalker episode, which is mostly those two. So now we've got two people who aren't even tangentially related to Boba Fett. So we've really gone off the rails there. Like, that is a branch off of a branch. So it really does get kind of far. But well done, really good, super entertaining the entire time. And I do agree with you, maybe better writing and production value, but also Mandalorian has the advantage of, being a little bit more bombastic and visually remarkable because it's one that leaves the planet and we're on like a giant space station in a different solar system and we're flying around. I think visually it's way more dynamic. And then also it's like, we're going to the forest locale with Yoda and Luke Skywalker. And, he's also getting the giant, air quote, guest stars of the Star Wars universe. But I think that having that variety in guest stars, locations, and sets makes it immediately more visually appealing. And I think that maybe the script is 5% better, but veering off and being like, hey, remember these amazing, cool space opera we do? And it's like, oh, yeah, okay, this is visually 30% better than what we've seen.
I'm going to disagree. Maybe on the Grogu episode, I'll agree. Not Mando's standalone episode. Because Mando just has a great fight where he's just cuts himself with his own lightsaber. Absolutely incredible. And everything I loved about that episode was nothing about I'm going to crazy places. Because in that episode, he doesn't. He just kills that guy, gets his leg fixed, and then he trains with the Darksaber for a bit. It's just him and the dynamics of him and the Mandalorian. It's his story being told. I think it's 30% better writing and not all that huge difference. I think when you go to Grogu and then you go to Tatooine and you have the fun montage where he gets his ship rebuilt, that's actually really fun. It's a little bit different. But yeah, I think it's not about the places. I think it is about Mando's story is told really well.
Right.
And I love Mando.
I agree with you. It's not about the places. That's not the nature of it. But when we've spent 4 episodes looking at different versions of the color brown, other than the motorcycles, and then even Mando, just to be like, we've got this chrome warrior on a jet black, having a laser sword fight on a jet black bridge hanging off of a space station, that's inherently more dynamic than any of the location battles that are happening on Tatooine.
Maybe.
Even if it's not the point of it, it is still just that pops. That pops more.
It does. All right. It maybe pops a little more. I did like when he would fuck up with the saber and fall off and just jetpack back onto the landing every time. It was so cute.
Cute stuff.
I love a fun little use of a jetpack. It's oh shit, I'm going to fall off this space station.
And scoot right back up.
And skidoot. I think we need to talk about Luke Skywalker.
Sure.
Oh my God, he was so bad. I didn't think I'd hate seeing Luke Skywalker again, and I hated everything about this Luke Skywalker. I thought he was a jerk, and I hated that he was from the Uncanny Valley. Oh boy.
It was. I didn't hate it as much as you. I didn't hate it as much as you. I think that they almost used the right amount. I think that there was certain times where I think they're just we don't want this camera to sit in the Uncanny Valley, and there were some shots where it's from the back of his head, or they're not showing his face, and it felt right. I would say the feeling felt right, but yeah, visually they still didn't get this technology right, and I think they should probably stop trying. I would much have preferred that if that was 3 scenes from the back of Luke Skywalker's head talking to Grogu. I'm fine with the character being there.
Oh, I'm fine with the character being there. I actually think visually he looked better than Mando season 2. And I actually think visually he didn't even look that bad. I hated what they did with this whole we made a robot do the voice acting thing. Did you read about this?
No, I haven't read about this.
Oh my, and I could feel it on the day, but when I read about it, it made so much sense. So Mark Hamill was not involved with this in any way, shape, or form. No physical human actor was involved with the voice. They ran Mark Hamill's lines from the original movies into a computer and taught the computer how to say the words in the way that he said them in the original movies. And this was an entirely computer-generated voice. No human made any of these sounds. Which is why he's like completely flat. He has no inflections. He has no acting choices. No acting choices made. A computer said the words the way Mark Hamill said them, but a computer made no acting choices.
Interesting.
There was a human on stage doing like Luke, and then the face just got changed.
Yeah.
But a computer program did the voice.
Very interesting.
And after you know that and you listen to it again, you're like, yes, a computer program did do this voice.
Well, that's very shitty. I did not know that, and that's very, very shitty. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't. No.
Hire an actor. Hire fucking Ross Marquand, who does the incredible voice impressions. He would do a Luke Skywalker in a heartbeat, I bet. I bet he's got one in his back pocket ready to go.
Like, absolutely. Just hire a human impressionist.
He can do the human parts, too. Ross Marquand's incredible.
Frankly, hire any human.
Any human.
Even if they are not good.
They're better than a computer.
Yeah. Hire fucking Amy Sedaris to do a caricature. Don't even fix the face. Fuck it. Just have her in Luke's wardrobe saying Luke's lines and everyone acts like it's Luke. Do that. Yeah, okay. That's I did not know that, and that is infuriating.
And this is the craziest part to me. So this is what's wild about the Grogu episode. So the scenes that are Luke and Grogu, 90% of the time is a puppet. So you have these scenes with an alien baby and a human man, and the alien baby's more real.
Right.
He's physically there. A human makes his sounds, and then the human man is a robot voice with a robot face that a computer made.
Fuck.
Like Star Wars, Disney, we don't have to go this hard.
No.
Like you made a puppet of Grogu for a reason. He's so much easier to love and hold and feel on set. Like,
yeah.
Why would you do this? I found it infuriating.
And now you have a robot Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Which is, but I guess like an actual actor doing the stand-in, but a robot doing the air quote performance.
Yeah.
That's fucked.
With a puppet who's looking great.
All right, that's pretty fucked.
It's pretty messed up. Right?
I did not know this.
You show a still of that scene to someone, you're like, guess who's real in this scene?
I honestly thought it was just someone doing like a medium bad Luke Skywalker impression. And I was like, oh, okay, you didn't get the best impersonator. But I was willing to let it go, thinking it was a bad human impersonator. I wouldn't have even drawn attention to it because what I thought, my impression was like, it's a bad impression and this is just biding time until they obviously get Sebastian Stan to sign the contract.
You guys gotta get Sebastian Stan to sign the contract.
Because
he already works for Disney.
There is zero scenario in which they have not spent the past several years negotiating with Sebastian. Like, I'm going to say like a zero sum.
Really? Because they've been very hard on just CGing faces.
They have, but you can't get a full show out of that. No one would watch it. They know that they can't. But if they go to their second choice, people will be upset, and then they can't finalize a deal with Sebastian. So I think it is just keep the plates in the air. Let's keep the plates spinning until Sebastian signs the contract and we figure out a deal. And maybe let's try to get Sebastian Stan's agent to get his price down, threaten that we can just do it with robots now. So
wait until Winter Soldier's over. His character's a little wrapped up in the MCU.
Yes. Yeah.
He wants that Disney money.
So I thought it was a bad impression because they were just being like, we'll do it with computers and an impressionist and then try to get his price down and then get Sebastian Stan to eventually sign on to do a thing. I figured that was what was going on. But no.
No, they love computers.
Fuck.
Too much.
That's fucked.
Messed up, right?
That's fucked. That's bad art and just gross on a lot of levels, just in terms of labor practices as well. That is incredibly gross.
In terms of like not hiring a human to play a human.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's something you can do if Mark Hamill had died.
Yeah.
Maybe you're like
he's around.
He's around. You just hire him or you hire a new actor. It's as simple as that. Like It's kind of the same thing that they did with, like, in The Force Awakens when Alec Guinness says, like, Rey used the Force. And they're like, we chopped a clip of him saying it's a ray of light and we re-edited his words. And there was no robot involved, but people were like, how did you get Alec Guinness to do a new line of dialogue? And it's like, well,
we used a couple syllables.
We cheated it a bit. We cheated it a bit. And
we didn't give him 4 scenes that were plot relevant.
Fuck. And especially when Ashoka's there. And Rosario Dawson is killing it.
She's there live.
Killing it.
And no CG. Full prosthetics. So you see her face, you see her acting, you see her emoting. She looks great. She's real. Grogu's real. Luke is just a computer monster.
Yeah.
It's so wild, like that they're
so
into practical and they're so against it for Luke.
And she's got the fucking like the head talons that swoop back, and she looks more real.
Yeah, like the things that would be understandable to CG if they were like, we can't put those on her. We're gonna put little green screen things on. We're gonna put them in post.
Yeah.
Like understandable, but she's like, no, I'm wearing the head tails, whatever we call these things.
I'm wearing it, and I'm a real actor who spent 6 hours in makeup this morning.
I'm a hired, paid human being.
Now, I'm Rosario Dawson, and I'm here to fucking work. Because when you hire Rosario Dawson, you get someone who shows up to goddamn work, and boy, does she.
She does, yeah. No date on her show yet, but I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah.
We're seeding her in so much.
All right, well, thank you for telling me this infuriating fact about robots.
I'm here for your infuriating fact. Now, even more infuriating, though, because the other thing I wanted to talk about is Luke's infuriating choices in the way that he's taken on the Jedi Order.
Now, this is a tricky thing.
It is, because it's like what happens in the books and the choices he makes, but I'm just like, Luke, don't be a jerk. Like, you know that it's okay to love and have attachments. Like, you didn't become a Jedi till you were like 22.
It's
18.
It's tough. I mean, I don't know what age, but I think it is tough, especially when you're doing a show like this, which kind of takes place chronologically in between a series of other events, where it's like we have seen the repetition of the folly of the Jedi, of Luke repeating the same mistakes as the Jedi Order prior. So we know how this behavior ends.
We know it ends with Kylo destroying the school. And
absolutely. We know that like Luke starts out in a place where he maybe has the ability to go down a different path with the Jedi. And he ultimately doesn't. And that speaking in absolutes, that saying you have to abandon the people who love you, that isolationism is what leads to their destruction. So we are cutting back to the hubris, which is really infuriating when it's a character that, like Luke, where we have either seen him before the hubris, where he's the hero that we're rooting for, or beyond, where he has learned the lesson of the folly of his ways. So to go back to the middle ground where this character who over the course of 6 movies we saw either bookend of this lesson occur in, I do feel that. I think it is inherently frustrating to be like, no, you shouldn't have to choose between liking someone or learning to help people. Those aren't inherently in competition, but it does make sense for where things are happening in this storyline, that is the mistake that his character is making with this new temple, with this new way.
I really like that very kind interpretation you've just given of like, we're watching Luke's journey to his downfall. It seems very early, I would say, though. Like, Grogu is his first student, and the last we saw Luke was kind of like Empire Strikes Back, where he refused to stay behind and went to save his friends, even though Yoda said that he had to continue his training and release all attachments. Like recently we've seen Luke not agree with this.
Right.
It seems like a student 6 maybe, like a little further down the road. But I like what you're saying. That from a storytelling perspective, you've really looked at like how the character has to have an arc and find his flaws. So you're looking at it from a writer's perspective, which I appreciate. It is infuriating as a viewer to be like, this is a child?
Yeah.
You are giving him the choice between his father and his career, I guess. Of course he's going to pick his dad. I don't want a job. I don't want to protect the galaxy. I want to eat frogs with my dad.
Yeah.
It's not surprising what he chose. And also, his dad has a lightsaber too. So
yeah.
He's good.
And also, neither of this is the prudent decision. You should just wear armor and have a lightsaber.
Oh my God. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Mandalorian armor on a Jedi, kills for it.
Would be
dies
phenomenal.
For it.
Weirdly enough, I think that like the one lesson of attachment that I was thinking of during this scene of choosing between the lightsaber or Mandalorian armor, or not, I guess, what's the name of the metal? Beskar?
Kespar? Beskar?
I think it's Beskar.
Beskar.
Like the Beskar metal armor for Grogu. In that moment where he's choosing between, I flash back to, it's oddly concise, episode 1 of Community. I know.
Okay.
But there is a line where like Jeff just kind of distills Troy, where Troy's wearing like his letter jacket from high school. And he's like, people keep making fun of me for wearing this jacket. I don't know if I should take it off or like, what should I do? And Jeff just turns to him and goes, you take it off because they're making fun of you, or you keep it on to spite them. Either way, you're doing it for them, and that's what makes you weak. And like, that is just like a weird breakdown of defining your personality on other people's perspective of you. Like, it's such a simple thing. You either do it to spite, do what they want because you're backing down, or do the opposite to spite them. But either way, you're making your decision based on them. And in this scenario, when it's like, well, if you take this armor, you're acknowledging the attachment. And if you reject it because you can't have attachment, then there's no attachment. It's like, that's not how that works, though. If you fight really hard to not have something, that's not the absence of love or attachment. That is the active anger-filled avoidance of it. You know what I mean? Like, if we broke up and I went around burning every image of you, no one would be like, that's because Andrew actually doesn't feel anything about her anymore. People would be like,
he's lost all attachment to Diana.
Yeah, no one would be like, that's a man who's pure neutral. It would be like, no, that's a man who's filled with anger and hate and denial and is really fucked up mentally. But like, if I had something of value that once belonged to you, the prudent and neutral thing would be like, does this have value in this moment? Do I keep it or not?
Yeah, it's too much. And yeah, it's very, you know, we all make fun of this line from episode 3, where it's like, only a Sith deals in absolutes. And I'm like, Sithing it up over here, Luke. You can either be full Jedi or you go full Mandalorian. It's like, just let his dad visit every now and then.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great, you know what? I didn't think you were going to get me on the Community episode 1 analogy.
Yeah, it's a good line.
Genuine life lesson. Genuine life lesson.
It is a lesson that I've heard before, but I've never heard it distilled down to 3 hot lines on a sitcom. And I'm like, that is a good
winger special.
Yeah, that is a good winger special. Yeah. But I think part of the reason why they jam these Mandalorian episodes in here, even though they're for the most part good, other than the gross robot actor, Ahsoka's fun. Like, that's great. Grogu's always adorable.
Grogu's fun. He just takes a nap whenever he feels like it. I love that him. Jealous.
I think they
just lays down.
I think they
sleeps.
were legitimately terrified of starting Mandalorian season 3 without Grogu in the first scene.
Ooh.
Like, so even if they're like, people love Grogu, people hated that he abandoned Grogu at the end of last season, we're going to start a new season, and episode 1 is going to find him, to see Luke, to get to Grogu. I think that Disney Plus was flat out like, we're worried people won't tune in for 2 weeks without Grogu. Like, I think it was just we need to hijack this show to make sure we do not lose a single viewer for Mandalorian season.
I can see that. I'm actually a little bit worried about this, to be honest. I was really happy with where we left Grogu, and I didn't expect him in season 3. I really thought we were done with him, and I was excited to see where Mando goes with this whole Mandalorian Darksaber thing.
I agree with you, but Grogu is marketable.
They finally got those plushies out. You can actually finally buy some Grogu. So they're like, season 3, they're available.
We only just started producing them.
We don't know what's wrong with us. We can't make merchandise, even though we're Star Wars, known for merchandising. I get what you're saying. Really, you're absolutely right about the word hijack. Even the fact that this show is 7 episodes is like 6 or 8 is the number. Shows aren't 7 episodes. So you added a full episode for sure. That was just about Mando and Grogu.
It easily might have been intended to be episode 1 of the next season of Mandalorian. And they finished filming it, and they were like, we need to put it in so that Grogu's in it.
Yeah, I could absolutely see that. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, now I hadn't thought about it, but I agree with your theories.
Thank you. I have good theories.
You have great theories.
So those were the Mandalorian episodes.
Those were the Mandalorian episodes. And then we get to the finale, which I'm half and half on.
I like the finale.
I liked it. The entire show, I am so underwhelmed with how few people there are. Like, no one has a lot of soldiers. And this doesn't feel like a COVID thing because this is Star Wars. They can CG in all the people they need. And it's just like, we have a big battle coming, and Boba Fett has 7 soldiers on their team, and I'm like, I could get 7 soldiers. Like, I could get 7 friends to come help me fight some people. This is underwhelming.
Yeah.
So the lack of people that both sides had, like the big invading force had like 12 dudes to our 6. Yeah, it was really bothered me the whole season. Like, he's like walking through downtown Mos Espa, and he's like, I'm the king of this town. Just me and Fennec. I haven't even got the green guys yet. And I'm like, well, no. I don't understand how any of this worked. I don't understand why killing Jabba the Hutt just made you king. If I killed the queen, I'm not the queen. The people who worked for the queen wouldn't be
there was a time when that was just how things worked.
No, because there was a line of hierarchy. Somebody worked for Jabba the Hutt who was second in command.
All right.
You know, and everyone would have followed that person.
Right.
Like, Boba didn't clear out an entire palace full of people.
Right.
I just don't understand how any of this happened. It bothers me.
You've got no faith in the structural hierarchy of the gang system. They honor the merit kill. You know, you kill, you take it, that's yours now.
But they didn't honor it because no one worked for him. They all just left the palace. Like, the people who worked for Jabba weren't like, we work for you now. Like, he didn't have anyone other than Fennec.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
That's what bothers me. Like, the fact that he didn't have anyone.
Doesn't bother me one bit.
Bothered me so much.
Everyone's just like, we're fucking off. Bye.
Keeps me up at night.
You are worked up.
Every single episode, I'd be like, this is the one where he's going to get some men, right? Some henchmen? Someone to help out around the house? No? Fuck. He's got no one.
He's got a Wookiee. He's got a bike gang. He got people.
He didn't have those guys for like 5 episodes.
That's how long it takes to get them.
He was the king. Frustrated. It bothered me the whole season. It's the low point for me.
Weird. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Did not bother me one bit, but I'm sorry it bothered you.
Yeah. Any other show, I would have been like, COVID. You can't have a lot of people. But like Star Wars, they make a CG Luke. You can make some CG hench people. You can make bigger things. I also was kind of like underwhelmed by the fight because this is also nitpicky. They're like, oh no, there's some like giant droids and we're having like gunfighty fights. When in episode 3, we saw Boba just like destroy an entire gang from the air with his ship.
Right.
I was like, go get your ship, man.
Go get the ship. Yeah. Logistically, there should have been a little bit more ship action happening, for sure.
Sure. If you can take out a whole gang with Slave One, or I don't know the new name of Slave One.
Yeah, whatever the new ship is called. But I think why it doesn't bother me, I think, is that visually in the original trilogy, when we cut to Jabba's palace, Jabba's always having a fucking party.
He's a party animal.
Whereas Boba trims the fat. There's no hangers on. Like, when you look at an image of Jabba's palace, when it's like, Jabba's the king, it is Jabba just eating chicken wings, one translator droid, the 2 green dude bodyguards.
Yeah.
Occasionally, Boba Fett is the muscle who's holding everything together. And then it's Max Rebo playing keyboard. There's a singer. We have the weekend dancer team. Like, we've got showmen. There's explosions. We're having a great time. Service droid after service droid. There are 3 people max who can fight in Jabba's palace at any given time.
I want to disagree, but I am picturing Jabba's palace, and there's no fighters amongst them.
Yeah.
Every fighter I'm picturing is someone that we snuck in. It's like Lando in the mask.
Yeah.
It's Leia coming in to get Luke or to get Han. Yeah, every fighter I can think of is someone we snuck in.
Yeah, they're all just like fuck boys and party people. That's all they are. That like the season of Breaking Bad when like Jesse Pinkman just starts throwing parties all of the time, and you're like, this is the drug king, or this is one of the drug kings of the city. This little shithead, and this party room full of like one muscle, and then a bunch of people who are hangers on, and then the second like the party is over. And there's nothing to hang on to. The hangers on are like, all right, I guess
I gotta go home and sleep it off.
I gotta go home and sober up and think about my life. Like, I don't know. Like, as soon as like there's not a big budget for the Max Rebo band to come play every night, who's hanging out?
They're just they're at the casino now. They're
exactly.
Like, oh fuck this, we're going to the party somewhere else. You're no fun, Boba Fett.
Yeah, legit. When I think about frames of Jabba's palace, I'm like, who could fight in that? It literally is the two green guys, Boba Fett, and a Rancor, and that is the entirety of the security that they have there.
Andrew, I'm furious right now because you've completely swayed me on this point. And I'm most furious because I didn't bring it up the entire time we watched this show over 6 weeks. And I've been mad for 6 weeks. And I feel like you could have unmadded me like 6 weeks ago if I'd mentioned this. Because you're absolutely right. Boba Fett's the muscle, so now he's in charge. But I wasn't thinking of it that way. I'm like, he's always got like 18 guys around. Yeah. And the Sarlacc's dead, and the Sarlacc's a big part of it. Shit.
Yeah, Sarlacc's a big... Like, Jabba doesn't fight or do anything. Jabba was choked out by a slave that he had chained to himself. He was choked to death by his own chains of oppression because he has no ability to defend himself.
I've got so much to think about now.
Yeah.
I've got to reevaluate my anger.
It's just a party palace.
It's just a party palace with a Rancor in it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I would even...
Should rehire that guy who was in charge of the Rancor. He was really sad about the other Rancor.
I would even say in Return of the Jedi, when they sneak in to save Han, because Luke is there, who came peacefully and is not fighting, and both Leia and Lando have snuck in disguised as other bounty hunters, I think that there are more heroes pretending to be villains in Jabba's palace than there are villains most of the time.
If Han wasn't like blinded and disabled from being in the carbonite, yes. I think they could have just fought their way out.
Yeah, 100%.
Why did we spend half the movie on this long-ass plan to break out Han when we just had to kill Boba Fett?
And if Jabba wasn't having nightly shows... then maybe three Jedi and a bounty hunter and like a scoundrel wouldn't be able to sneak in unnoticed.
Love Lando just being a scoundrel.
Yeah.
Job title? Scoundrel.
If Lando was in that room in the Boba Fett show, Boba would notice. Boba would be like, it's me, Fennec, and who's this guy with the skull hat?
No one's sneaking in now. All right. You got me there. Fuck. Well,
I've
been put in my place, and I really learned to tell Andrew whenever things make me angry, because he will fix it.
I think the last little point that I have for this is Amy Sedaris' character, the mechanic. Mm-hmm. I did not like her character in Mandalorian. It was such like a quiet, heroic show, which she's doing basically a sketch performance. I do like it in this show. It's weird
because she's only still involved with the Mando stuff.
But I feel like she now belongs in the tone of this planet and city. You know what I mean? Like, now that we've established that it's like, well, this is a city where, like, a Wookiee's throwing some people around. We've got a Rancor dealer who can just deliver a new Rancor like he's fucking... Like, Danny Trejo is Amazon. We've got, the shiny bike gang
of youths.
Yeah, we've got a gang of youths. We've got mod clubs where they do, like, genetic stuff. And now, like, Amy Sedaris is like, boy, we got another ship coming in. Oh, gee. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, she does. She lives down the street. Yes, I 100% believe now that she lives down the street. But when it was, like, Mandalorian, it's like... 4 words are said for 6 episodes until she comes in with the dial turned to 12. It didn't work, but she works for me in this show.
I will agree. I think she was too much at first in Mando. I didn't dislike her as much as you. I don't even think I disliked her. I thought she was too much at first, and also I think in Mando at first, we didn't know her very well. And I was like, you can't just leave your kid with her. She's a stranger. Like, she could, like, betray him. So I was, like, on edge about it. Didn't know enough about her. As soon as we learned she was trustworthy, I was all in on Amy Sedaris' character.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was fun. I like that she just takes care of Grogu. Like that she's got pure intentions, but she's still hustling.
Yeah, I agree with all of that now.
Excellent. Way to go, Amy Sedaris. You won Andrew over.
Now when Mando's dealing with her, I'm like, well, Mando had to come to the ridiculous city with ridiculous people and problems. And, of course, there's a ridiculous person.
Yeah, I do feel like Boba needed to interact with more of that kind of thing, of being like, oh, no one can rule Mos Espa. These crazy people live here, like Amy Sedaris and her robots.
That's the Book of Boba Fett. It's his one-man play. It's just Boba Fett enters stage center, takes off the helmet. Boy, when I took over Mos Espa, there were some crazy characters. And it's just him doing all of the characters as a one-man show.
I would love to see his Luke.
He still has a droid come out and do it.
A computer hologram pops up.
Yeah, you got to have a droid doing it.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm done because I feel great about not being mad about the henchmen anymore.
I'm glad that I was able to resolve such a small thing that I did not know was bothering you, and I wish you had brought up previously.
I mean, we do have a tendency of like not talking about things we're going to talk on the podcast too much beforehand.
True.
So like it's hard on a weekly show. So yeah, just for weeks I've been holding it in. I've been like, when are the Tuscan Raiders going to show up? When's he going to actually have people working for him?
Huh. Wild. Mm-hmm. Well, we did it.
You did it.
Thank you.
Andrew?
Thank you.
You did it.
I wasn't even trying to do it. I was just making a goof.
That's what's more impressive about it.
Excellent.
With effortless.
I had a good time watching this. I hope they make a season 2.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Well, like I said, it was a show where I liked every episode but wasn't excited for the next episode. So I could take or leave a season 2.
Right. Okay. Well, let's go into the final question. And, maybe this is something that they can incorporate in season 2. Who knows? We'll ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything we discussed, what would you change about this if you could change anything? Before we do ask the final question, we want to remind you, as we do every week, please take a minute to follow, subscribe, rate, review, wherever you get your podcasts. I know you're sick of hearing it. Every podcast tells you to do it. But it's free. It helps support the podcast. It helps us find new listeners. It encourages new listeners to actually hit that download button. It makes a world of difference.
Guys, help us. Be heroes.
Help us help you.
Leave a review and tell everyone we're great. It's the truth.
Easy.
Don't spread lies. Tell the truth online.
Tell the truth. You can write a wordy review if you want. You can just write the word noise. We appreciate those as well. So, yeah, do a little something free. It helps support the podcast.
Yeah, you can leave reviews on Apple iTunes, on Podcast Addict. You can leave star reviews on Spotify, not written ones, but we'll take any number of 5 stars wherever you want to leave them.
Any combination, however you do it, do the dang thing. It helps us out. And as well, if you want to support the podcast monetarily and get cool bonuses for doing it, you can check us out on Patreon. Every month on Patreon, we put up an exclusive bonus episode of this podcast. It's available only to our hero level patrons. This month, it will be available at the end of the week. So this coming weekend, we will have an episode up on The Legend of Vox Machina. So Machina.
I would say Machina.
I should have said Machina. Yeah. I should have said Machina, and I don't like that I said Machina.
You said it the other way the first time earlier in the episode.
I know I did, and I don't know why my brain fell apart. I'm going to fix that before we record the episode this weekend. I'm going to fix that in my old brain box.
Look forward to that, guys.
But The Legend of Vox Machina will be available this coming weekend on the Patreon page, all about the full season 1. You can head on over and check that out. And you can chip in whatever is in the budget, $1, $5, $10, $15, $20, you know what numbers are. And you can cancel or change it any month if your budget changes.
And every little bit helps. If you're thinking $1 is like not good, it's so good. Mm-hmm. Like if everyone who listened gave, we would be so set.
Things would be fucking different, to tell you that.
They'd be different around here.
Things would be different.
I'd be less angry.
Yeah.
About everything.
About all of it. About the numbers of people, about all the things.
I would stop being angry about small groups.
About small groups and television
this
shows.
Group is too small.
God damn it. Go to Patreon and give this woman $1 because she is fucking mad about small groups on TV shows.
It's been giving me like an ulcer. I've been so upset about it.
help us out over on Patreon. Get rid of that ulcer. Head over to patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That's patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. Patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. Thank you to all of our current patrons, and thank you if you're considering for even looking at the page. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, patrons.
And now for the final question of what would you change? Diana, what would you change?
I'm in a bit of a problematic area here because my big letters that I've written down are more men under my change section.
Fuck. You're really painting yourself into a corner there.
You fucked me, Andrew.
You know what? No, dial it back. Go back to not liking that there was enough men.
I mean, I do still want him to have more men. You've explained it, but I still would have been happier with more men. I do actually have a second change. I really needed the other gangs and the spice to be more integrated into the story. Even in the flashbacks, because like I guess the train was like a spice running train, but I didn't really hear that or feel that that's what was going on. So I really needed to see like, I don't know, I wanted the biker gang to be like, look at over there, that's a person who uses spice and like they've been decimated, or like meeting more people on the street, because the gang kept being like, people live here and like it's a city full of people, and it never felt like a city full of people. It always felt very empty and abandoned, and everyone we met was either in one of the gangs or was just like at the casino and got blown up, so they're dead now anyway. It's very small things. It is just like have the spice introduced sooner as a problem. Like the spice didn't feel like it even got brought up until the elephant came in episode 6, which is very, very late. So I'd like that to be more of an issue. And obviously, as I said earlier, the Tuscan Raiders come and help. That's my more men. These are my more men. This is who I wanted. The Tuscan Raiders are absolutely here. A second tribe, maybe even a third tribe, fourth tribe. So many men for me. Diana just wants more people fighting. And yeah, I need the conflict needs to be clearer and more, I think, tense, more in the moment, that it's like we have to take care of this. Spice is decimating the city. I need to feel it more. So like some small changes. But those are because it's pretty good overall. Like it works. It's not cohesive. In order to make it cohesive, it's way more changes. It's like make it linear, literal. Make it linear maybe, but I don't know if that would be interesting since we already know where he ends up. So yeah,
I feel you.
I'm gonna add the Tuscans and more spice. Andrew, what would you change?
I couldn't agree more with those changes. As much as I thought that there was enough men, I think that the lack of the return of the Tuscans was a huge missed opportunity and kind of a waste at the end of this, because it's like that defined who he is as a character. Like that was the family that found him and eventually took him in and protected him, which is what he's doing for this city now. So I kind of wanted to see that book ended. So I'm 100% with you
and also,
on the Tuscans.
It's their world. They even said,
yes,
like, people have come here and taken over. We're the indigenous tribe. Like, they should be able to kick people off the planet. That's such a victory.
Yeah. So I agree with you 100% on that. I have a few different ideas for changes that are all kind of combating in my...
Let's brainstorm Andrew's changes.
In my head right now, I think that the biggest idea that I had for a change was the idea that instead of a time jump to present day, this, and even calling it the Book of Boba Fett, it feels like it should be an anthology series where it's different stories that all happen to get connected to Boba Fett. So how I would like it is this opening several episodes, the story of him getting adopted by and learning to be one with the Tuscan Raiders. But instead of cutting to the future when he has his armor back, cut to simultaneous stories of other people who are being affected by the spice trade.
Ooh, okay.
So, like, episode 1, it is Boba Fett and the Tuscan Raiders, and maybe they're, like, avoiding what's going on with the spice trade. Maybe we don't even know as an audience. And then we're cutting to Timothy Oliphant's town, which is getting affected by the spice trade. So we're getting this, and then we cut to, like, the price of water is going up and the bike gang is becoming a little bit angrier. Like maybe they betray a job that the Wookiee is doing for them and they don't pay him. So these people who are becoming disaffected by the status quo, And then as Boba gets his armor back and goes into town, we see that this is a vacuum that's been waiting for a leader like him. And then it feels like everything's a bit more affected by the spice trade. And it's more than like him just being like, hey, Mando, can you ask a friend of a friend to fight for me in the spice trade? And it feels more of a like, we're taking this fucking city back. And then it would feel more communal if I saw how this affected everyone's life kind of before Boba shows up. That was one bigger idea. It's a little bit clumsier, but
no, I like it. I get what you're going for. You're showing linearly how everyone's life is, and it's more parallel before Boba gets there, and then meeting them again with Boba, I think would be interesting. We can see like maybe some kind of like gang on gang war where the mean bikers meet the kid bikers, and they're like, oh no, those bikers are too mean, and they run away on their shiny bikes or something like that. Also, we get more Timothy Olyphant. That's great.
Yes.
That's never a problem. And it is interesting what you're saying, because what else is weird is when you think about, like, even though they're flashbacks, it's only like a few weeks ago.
It's not long enough. Yeah,
like it feels like it's years, but then you're like, oh no, wait, we're still like in like episode 4 time or episode 6 time.
Yeah, instead of a couple weeks back and forward, it easily could be everything's happening simultaneous type of storytelling, which I think is way more interesting. To be like, yeah, Boba Fett is learning to be a Tuscan. Meanwhile, Freetown is under attack by the spice traders. Meanwhile, the bike gang is having trouble affording water because the moisture farmers are under the hand of the spice ring. And then you kind of like slowly piece together how volatile the system is. And I love the tension of that type of gang movie or gang show where it's like everything's a powder keg waiting to go off. Like how absolutely delicate these type of crime families are and these type of like handshake syndicate deals can be.
No, I like that a lot, because even the water like never comes up again.
Yeah.
Like the spice came up a lot, but like, yeah, water was never brought up as being a problem after that one episode. So yeah, no, I think this is good. I like this.
And my other big thing is that Mando gets a bit too much. I think that at the very least, Boba Fett should have had to have gone to Freetown. Because I know Timothy Olyphant is a character from Mandalorian, and Mando has the relationship. But if Mando's like, I got to go take off and bring this thing to my buddy Grogu, you should go talk to the people of Freetown. Because Boba needs to develop a relationship with this guy. Because these soldiers, this whole town, inspired by like the gunslinger and what the gunslinger does to their sheriff and stuff like that. Boba has nothing to do with any of it, and it is the turning of the tide of who has power in this whole situation. So if that was Boba going to talk to the guy who used to have his armor,
like how fun a scene is that, where the guy who like rightfully owns the armor comes and is like, I'm in charge, but also I was sent by Mando, your friend, and I'm cool about it.
Yeah. And then also the gunslinger has no connection to Boba as well. So by the time like that cool gunslinger shows up, it's like, yeah, you shot Mando's friend and these people are mad at you, but you have nothing to do with Boba. So Boba should have to go to Freetown and try to recruit those people.
Love that. That is a great change. Yes. Not that I don't love The Mandalorian, but it's called The Book of Boba Fett. He should be recruiting his own guys. Yeah. Boba Fett could have convinced Timothy Olyphant as easily. Well, I mean, Mando didn't even convince him. The people only came because Timothy Olyphant got shot.
Yeah.
The gunslinger did a terrible job.
Absolutely. Yeah,
they weren't going to come.
Until the gunslinger fucked everything up.
Until they were involved by the spice runners.
Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, send Boba there. And
love this.
I love yours, Brie. Bring the Tuscans back.
Gotta bring the Tuscans.
Yeah. So forget that bigger, cloudier one that I had. Whatever. That was just... I'm just brainstorming on that first one.
All right. We're working on things.
We're working on things, but yeah.
Easier changes. Boba
goes to Freetown. Tuscans come back.
Did it.
Boom.
More men. More men.
More men. More men.
Or women. More men and women.
More peoples. More peoples. More peoples. Because some of them are green lizard dudes. We don't even know.
No idea.
R.I.P. my green lizard dudes. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just got pushed off a cliff. What a way to go.
Cold-blooded. Just nothing but disrespect for my green boys.
Didn't even... stab him, kill him.
Rough. It's a rough one. So that's going to be it for this week, talking about the Book of Boba Fett. We are going to be back next week talking about Season 1 of Peacemaker.
He's making peace.
He's making peace out there. He will he'll make peace. He doesn't care how many men, women, and children he has to kill.
Andrew's watched it, you guys.
Yeah.
He knows the lines.
He'll suck a beach full of dicks for peace. He does not care. Man, don't give a care. So we'll be talking about that next week on the podcast. In the meantime, if you want more of us this weekend, check out our Patreon for the Legend of Vox Machina and Vox Machina.
Yeah, you
I
said
did
it the
again.
wrong way again.
I
We're gonna
don't
have to practice
know why
before
my
Patreon.
brain is sundowning. If you want to get a hold of us in the meantime, you can reach me on Twitter at Ivimey, Ivimey.
Me, I'm at Words of Diana.
And us, we're at From Superheroes. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.